Alright, how you guys doing? Haven't made a video in a while, but I did pick up a couple of movies recently, and as you can see, the first one is The Simpsons, the 18th season. I was really sad to learn that after season 17, they stopped releasing The Simpsons on DVD. And the only way to watch The Simpsons was through an American streaming service. So the rest of us were pretty much screwed. If you didn't live in America and didn't have access to that service, you couldn't watch The Simpsons anymore. And I really hate that because I love this show. I've always loved this show growing up, and I want to complete the collection as much as possible. So I jumped on the opportunity to import this from the UK. So here it is, beautiful sort of iridescent Fat Tony season. It's black with red text on it. Some panda bears on the back there. Very different season. It's got a very different look to it. It's embossed here, so it's slightly different in that respect. And if you open this up, it's actually very dark, and it's got that sort of Fat Tony theme going for it. I'm going to keep this video brief, so I will not be opening this one up for now, but nevertheless, I do love The Simpsons, even though I recognize that the show did take a very big dip after the first 10 or so seasons. But yeah, still fun to have this, and it's going to be fun to dig into the newer seasons, and I hope that they will continue releasing more seasons after this. To my surprise and delight, the Criterion Collection have started to release movies in the UK. Earlier, they only released movies in the US. And if you're not familiar with what the Criterion Collection is, it's a company that releases historically or artistically significant films. That usually means older films, but films that are held in high regard for their artistic or social merit. Criterion Collection doesn't contain your average popcorn blockbusters, but smarter, more award-winning type films. Anyway, they've been releasing Blu-rays in the UK since 2016, and I had no idea about that, so I was really delightfully surprised when I finally noticed. So jumped on the opportunity and I ordered two movies, the first of which is 12 Angry Men. This is a classic from 1957 about a jury group who are sentencing a young man who is suspected of having killed his father with a knife. And 11 of the men are absolutely certain that he did kill him. But one man in the jury, played by Henry Fonda, and we never learned their names, by the way, believes that he is innocent, and he begins to discuss it with the other 11 men. A really fantastic film. This is a classic masterpiece. I've only seen this film once, actually, but I loved it straight from the get-go. It's really intense, cleverly made. Essentially, it only takes place in one room, the jury room, during a hot summer day. But it's so gripping and it's so well made that you are pretty much locked in your seat for 90 minutes. So great acting, great writing, and just a damn good film, and one that deserves to be seen. This is a very nice Criterion Collection release, and this contains a lot of interesting bonus features, including the television version, if you ever wanted to see that one, because this film was actually based on a TV movie originally. There's a lot of great stuff here. I'm not going to go into detail about all of it, but you can look it up at the Criterion website or Blu-ray.com. So, very happy to have this, and this is my first ever Criterion Collection film that I've owned, so pretty cool. Another one that was recently released by the Criterion Collection, a movie that I actually already own, but not in such a lavish edition, is Night of the Living Dead, the classic George Romero zombie film from 1968. Like I said, I do have this. I do have a steelbook edition of this, and I thought that was actually a pretty good edition. It's not too bad at all. But this version from Criterion is far, far, far superior. This is pretty much the ultimate version of Night of the Living Dead. I don't think you could ever ask for more. It's been painstakingly remastered and restored. There's even an alternate work print cut called Night of Anubis, which is slightly different. Not a huge difference there, but it's slightly different. So if you're an aficionado of Romero's films, you want to see that. It has about 20 minutes of raw dailies. They don't have sound, but still, might be interesting for a lot of people to see. And there are tons of bonus features that are very interesting, including interviews with the cast and crew. And there's even a documentary where Guillermo del Toro, Robert Rodriguez, and Frank Darabont speak about their appreciation and love for the film. It also includes a beautiful poster as well, so you get pretty much everything in this package. The thing about Night of the Living Dead is that this film was not copyrighted correctly. They actually attached the copyright to the title, to the work print title, and then they changed the title, and with it went the copyright. So anybody can watch this film for free at any given point in time. You can release this on DVD yourself if you want to. It's not against the law at all. But the problem with that is that that means that there have been countless poor editions of this released through the years, like hundreds of thousands of poor releases. So it's wonderful to see a really definitive, really good, tremendously thought out release of Night of the Living Dead. So beautiful edition, and I'm so happy to have this. And it was one of the first Criterion titles that caught my eye, released in England as well. So I'm really delighted to have this. It's a really beautiful edition. I may make a separate video where I, open this up and take a closer look, but today I'm just going to keep it brief. So very nice edition. You can pick this up in the UK or in the US. Also picked up some Italian titles from director Dario Argento. His directorial debut, The Bird with a Crystal Plumage. Or I'm going to try to butcher this in Italian, L'uccello dalle plume di cristallo. Pume. Anyway, I messed it up, see? Anyway, this is a beautiful edition from Arrow Video. This was Dario Argento's directorial debut. He was called Italy's answer to Alfred Hitchcock. And he really took what Mario Bava was doing with those early gialli films, those thrillers. And in this film, he sort of perfected and modernized that concept. So this is essentially a film about an American writer living in Rome who witnesses a brutal attack on a woman in a modern art gallery. Powerless to help, he grows increasingly obsessed with the incident. Convinced that something he saw that night holds the key to identifying the maniac terrorizing Rome, he launches his own investigation parallel to that of the police, heedless of the danger to both himself and his girlfriend Julia. This is not my favorite Argento film, probably not even close, but I do respect this film a lot more now than I ever did before. It is beautifully photographed, very well acted, has a wonderful plot twist, and the score by Ennio Morricone is actually very good. In the bonus features for this, I learned that they actually improvised all the music to screen, which explains why it's got that sort of jazzy feeling to it, because it's a very jazzy sort of approach to making a score. I did reverse the artwork here. This is not the artwork that comes with the movie, but I really like the classic poster artwork for this. So the artwork actually looks a lot more like this bird that you're seeing there, but you can reverse it yourself. The film has been beautifully restored from a 4K restoration. It's got a wonderful audio commentary, and it's got some great bonus features, including The Power of Perception, a new visual essay on the cinema of Dario Argento by Alexandra Heller-Nicholas, which is fantastic, where she essentially breaks down all of Argento's best films from the 70s all the way to the 90s, and she speaks about the common themes, which are usually about the power of perception and characters who essentially think they're witnessing one thing, but they're actually witnessing something entirely different, which is a very common theme in Argento's films. But yeah, this release was wonderful. I'm really happy with this. I really like this. And I've been in the mood for more Italian films lately. I've been sticking with the major three directors, which is Mario Bava, Dario Argento, and Lucio Fulci. And I'm going to stay on that road for a little bit, maybe order a couple more Argento films. But soon I think I'll pretty much be happy in the ways of my Argento Blu-rays. But I didn't just order The Bird with Crystal Plumage, I also ordered Phenomena, which is not one of his best films, probably one of his worst actually, or weakest films. Well, not if you compare it to his modern films, which are just god-awful, like Dracula 3D. That was one of the worst films I've ever seen. But anyway, Phenomena is a batshit crazy film. This is from 1985. Jennifer Connelly plays a young girl who arrives in a all-girls school in Switzerland, where a murderer is terrorizing the school and picking off girls and people in the area. But she has an ability to communicate with insects telepathically, and she gets to know Donald Pleasence, who plays an expert on insects, and he's aided by a helper monkey, a chimpanzee, and it's got heavy metal music by Iron Maiden and Motorhead, and the chimpanzee ends up wielding a razor, a straight razor that it finds in the garbage, and there's a little boy with a deformed face, and there's a pit of maggots, and it's just, this is a weird movie, even by Argento standards. In the bonus feature, somebody said that this could only have been made in the coke-fueled 1980s, and I definitely see what they mean by that. But this is a beautifully photographed and exceptionally well scored film. The music for this is just, well, it's phenomenal, no pun intended. I love the music for this. There's some great music from Claudio Simonetti. There's also some great tunes from Bill Wyman in the film. So I'm actually going to link you to some of my favorite tracks from Phenomena because I think they're just extraordinary. Claudio Simonetti was, of course, a member of Goblin, which is the prog rock band that was heavily featured in Dario Argento's most popular and famous films. And this is no exception. It really sounds tremendous. The opening title or main title is kind of a synthy, epic prog rock song with this opera vocalist singing, this female opera vocalist singing, and it really sounds killer. It's really cool, and it sort of predates all the sort of symphonic power metal bands like Nightwish and stuff like that. So yeah. Anyway, this is a great release. It's been beautifully remastered and restored. In fact, I'm going to give you an example right here. This was the previous version of Phenomena from Arrow Video as well, and this is the new one. So you can clearly see the difference there. Old one, new one. Quite the difference there. And I love that Arrow Video are giving these films second chances. They did make really good releases of these films just a couple of years ago, but now they're actually going back again and doing even better releases. So that's really, I mean, that's really respectable. I admire that so much. Anyway, great release, beautifully restored from a brand new 4K restoration. And it has a lot of interesting bonus features. The main wealth of bonus features on this one is a 2-hour-long documentary about the making of the film, which is a lot about how they wrangled all the insects in the movie and how they got them to behave on film. But there's a lot of interesting, you know, stuff about young Jennifer Connelly and Donald Pleasence and stuff like that. So really excellent edition as always. And this is the 115-minute cut. There are at least 3 different versions of Phenomena, but this is the longest one. So I'm not sure how people are going to feel about that, but yeah, you get the most bang for your buck. But I do feel like this film is overlong. It doesn't need to be 115 minutes, and it does go off the rails quite a bit. But nevertheless, I still enjoy Phenomena for what it is. You gotta kind of take it with a grain of salt. It is not up there with Argento's best films. Some of my favorite include Suspiria, Deep Red, and Tenebrae, probably. But nevertheless, it's fun to own this, and it's a beautiful edition, and it's really nice to actually learn about the making of the film as well. So that is it for this video. We've talked about Argento's Phenomena from Arrow Video. The Bird with a Crystal Plumage, also from Dario Argento. 2 films from the Criterion Collection, A Night of the Living Dead and 12 Angry Men, both available in the UK. So if you are a Criterion fan or you want to become a Criterion fan, check out their UK collection. It's still very small. There's not a lot of titles, but they are starting to release them in England and the UK. And then we had The Simpsons, the 18th season. Granted, the show's not, you know, on top of the world at this point, but this is nevertheless a beautiful edition. So if you want to keep collecting I highly recommend getting this one. I think it's available in the US and in the UK, but you may have to import it from one of those two countries. So anyway, that's it for this video. I kept it kind of brief here, but I hope you've enjoyed this one nevertheless, and I will catch you in the future.